On MyMyTV.com.
This is My Michigan TV, a unique news streaming television network. To watch simply add our app to your smartphone or smart TV. You can also watch online at MyMyTV.com. My Michigan TV. My.
Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Welcome to The Splash Live. You can't start the show unless your phone is on silent. So we've done that. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to The Splash Live. Dave Scott right here on all of our outlets this morning. And it's awful good to be with you on this beautiful day in the greater West Bloomfield area. The Splash Live kicks off 90 minutes of live television each and every Monday through Friday right here on Civic Center TV and all of our outlets. We are here, of course, on Comcast on Channel 15, so you can watch us on regular old cable TV, Comcast Channel 15. If you have an AT&T account, you can go find us in Channel 99 on AT&T and watch us right there each and every day. A lot of people, including yours truly, love to watch our programming right there on the web on civiccentertv.com. All kinds of advantages, closed caption option, which is really nice, and it's in full high definition. So feel free to go there. We're also on Facebook Live every day. Search for Civic Center TV on Facebook Live, and we're also on YouTube. So all kinds of social media live streams available for you. And if you happen to be in your car driving around the greater West Bloomfield area, no need to get out your phone or do anything else. Just turn on your radio, 89.3 FM. Lakes FM, we've been on the air since 1974 as your local community television and radio station. So we thank you very much for joining us. Weather-wise in the greater West Bloomfield area today, it's going to be a spectacular day. Things are warming up after that rainy, cold day we had yesterday. Today, it's going to be 67 degrees with sunshine, partly cloudy skies today. Actually, it's going to be nice tonight, too, down to 41. Tomorrow, look for clear skies. And again, similarly warm day tomorrow, 66 and cool at night. Really nice through the weekend. And I was taking a look at the weather forecast over the next week and a half or so. And it's going to be absolutely incredible. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 60s and a lot of sunshine and really nice weather. Almost had me thinking that something weird is going on with the weather. I mean, we usually have this really nice, couple of days in fall and late fall when things are warm and certainly almost summer-like. But this year has been spectacular. We're going to check in with the folks at the White Lake office of the National Weather Service. In fact, Trent Frey is going to check in later on this hour on the Splash Live and take a close look at what's going on with the weather and give you an opportunity to learn about the National Weather Service and what they have right here in their office, really very close to West Bloomfield. It's in White Lake. I've been there and shot some video for Civic Center TV there. An amazing facility and a really great group of people that this morning we'll explain why it is so nice. It's certainly nothing to complain about. Good weather, bad weather, always a good day to read the book. And if you want to get some new books, want to go to the West Bloomfield Library used book sale going on this weekend. The Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library will hold their fall used book sale Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, if you are a member of the library, you can get in there and get the first peek at all the books. Saturday, open for everybody in the public. By the way, if you're not a member of the library, you could just pay the small fee on Friday, and they'll give you full member privileges. So a good opportunity to do that if you've not done that. Saturday, book sales going on all weekend, and then on Sunday, they're going to get rid of all the books on Sunday. They don't want to keep them. So there'll be some really good grab bag opportunities where you can get a whole bunch of books for a very, very low price. I think I saw the price was $5 for the bag of books on book day. Meanwhile, down the street, the 71st annual Detroit Jewish Book Fair Festival is going on at the Jewish Community Center. And this annual event has been going on for decades. It's a terrific event, not only to celebrate the books themselves, but also the authors. Many of them come in to the community, and we get a chance to hear from them. So more information from the Jewish Community Center, and just go on and Google the Detroit Jewish Book Fair, and you'll find all the information. Of course, we have an election going on in our great country, and right here in West Bloomfield, Orchard Lake, Keagle Harbor, and Sylvan Lake. And it's getting easier and easier to vote. Lots of absentee ballot opportunities going on. And on Thursday, there's an opportunity for you to go drop off your absentee ballot in person until 7 o'clock at night. Saturday, you can do so from 8 o'clock until 4 p.m. This is in West Bloomfield at the West Bloomfield Township offices, and Debbie Binder's office there, the clerk desk right inside the township office. And you can go in, get your absentee ballot, fill it all out right while you're there, and get it taken care of. Now, there's also a drop box available, actually 2 of them at the West Bloomfield Township Hall, and they are available 24/7. And then, of course, on Election Day, you can go in and vote the way that we always have over the years, just go and vote in person. But now, post-COVID and with everything else going on, a lot of other different alternatives to vote. Please do participate in the election, and however you do it, just make sure you get an opportunity to do so. Final reminder on our calendar this morning, speaking about the election, on Election Day, the 8th of November, Tuesday, it's next Tuesday already, we are going to have our Heroes Breakfast. It's going to be at the not Orchard Lake, it's going to be at the West Bloomfield Middle School. Still got the old name for the school, the West Bloomfield Middle School Heroes Appreciation Breakfast. All the information is right there on that QR code in the screen. Take your phone and go up and take a picture of that. It will take you to the website. You can register and join us. If you know someone who is a veteran, we love to serve them for free. You can tell them about that and get them hooked up. And we're going to be broadcasting live from 8:30 until probably around noonish or thereabouts, bringing you the entire Heroes Breakfast on TV, and then getting you ready for Election Day. So make sure you tune in and join us. West Bloomfield Parks and the library and a lot of other partners all coming together for this annual event as we celebrate our heroes here in the greater West Bloomfield area. So, my good friends in Sylvan Lake and around our area, do you know what the Daniel Whitfield School is? If you're not intimately familiar with Sylvan Lake history, we've got Helen Jane Peters checking in a couple of minutes, and she'll tell you about this school. I started taking a look at it. I found it pretty interesting as we are building we're building the new West Bloomfield Middle School. The Daniel Whitfield School was built, are you ready for this? It was built back in 1852, if I've got the date right, for an enormous sum of $300. We've come a long way. So Helen Jane Peters checks in next. We're going to talk about the school, the history of it, and a bunch of other related activities, and some of the other programming she's been developing for us on Civic Center TV, and doing a great job making sure that we're all plugged into the history of Sylvan Lake and our area. Helen Jane Peters is next. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. You are watching The Splash Live. Right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
This November, honor the many people who offer their lives for our freedom at the 2022 Heroes Appreciation Breakfast. Organizations, charities, and local residents are invited to celebrate the men and women that ensure our safety and security. Hear from guest speakers, live performances, and presentations from veterans, officers, and more. Save the date, November 8th,
from 9 to 10:30 p.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School. Call 248-451-1900 to register. And now, back to The Splash, live.
The only way this show gets done with yours truly every day is with a good sip of coffee, if you would indulge me. Maybe we can do that together on these mornings. Thank you for joining us on the Splash Live. Dave Scott, Tyler Keefe will be here in a couple of minutes with the Megacast, and we'll continue to take a look at things very local here in our area, but he expands geography a little bit, stretches to all of Oakland County, and takes a look at some other things going on from around the state of Michigan. It's a Megacast coming up at 10 o'clock. The Splash Live every day at 9:30. And we invite you to tune in for an hour and a half of live programming right here on Civic Center TV. So the Daniel Whitfield School, let me read my notes here. The school was servicing Sylvan Lake with a small white frame building. And what this article says was a drab interior built at a cost not to exceed $300. First day of school, May 22nd, 1852. The teacher, Samuel Rod, was hired for $18 a month. She knows history of our area better than anyone. It's so good to welcome to the Splash this morning, Helen Jane Peters. Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to see you, Dave.
Well, good to see you. So when we look at those numbers, it's amazing that we could build a school for $300 and the teacher would be employed for $18 a month. You know, it kind of is as one of the indications of how things have changed so much over the last century or two. And that's why it's so good to have people like you that keep an eye on the history of our community and keep us aware of it.
That's right. And I'm trying to keep our history, our Sylvan Lake history about our school and about our community up to date. And you're right, that first school was on Orchard Lake Road between Middle Belt and Telegraph. And it was, the land was donated by Daniel Whitfield. And that was the first school. Then the second school came along in 1894. And that started out as a one-room schoolhouse, and then they added another room, and then they added more. But in 1927, they found out they needed a bigger school. And so that's the one I'm going to talk about today, the third school.
All right. Well, I was so fascinated by the story of the original. Thank you for letting me divert. The reason we're talking about this today is we've got an event going on this week involving the cornerstone from that third school. Why don't you tell us what's going on this week and just fill in the gaps wherever you want, Helen Jane Peters.
Okay. Well, the school stopped teaching children in 1991. And the school sat empty for over 20 years. And finally, they decided to raise the school, to tear it down, which was a very, very sad time for all of us that attended Whitfield. I started in kindergarten in 1944, and I ended in 1952, sixth grade, and then went on to junior high and high school. Well, the school sat empty for 20 years, and then they decided to raise it. I did tell you that. So at that time, I'll show you some pictures of the raising of the school.
Okay. Can you see that, guys? I think, yeah, good. I love it.
And the man at the top is Mr. Chuck Johnson.
Okay.
And he was in charge of the demolition. And at that time, he came back one time to open up the cornerstone, but he took it away again. And I said, Mr. Johnson, that really belongs. That's a picture of it. Mr. Johnson, that cornerstone really belongs in Sylvan Lake. So I knew Anna Lee Kennedy, and she was a teacher at Whitfield, and she was, go get it. We're going to get that back in Sylvan Lake. And so Anna Lee Kennedy happened to know Doris Smith, who knew Mr. Johnson. So the three of us went to Mr. Johnson's business and politely asked him if we could bring that back to Sylvan Lake. And he gave us the cornerstone and the contents.
So not only
And
was this cornerstone in the building during those years, but as you can see, there's a little crack in the top of it. It contained artifacts from that time. Is that correct?
that is correct. And this is the box. I think I sent you a picture of that.
Sure. Yep.
It's
We're looking at it. Yep. We're looking at. There you go. Thank you.
And it has a lid that comes off, and it was filled. There we go. That's a Whitfield chair too. Mr. Neff gave me a set of a table and chairs, which we love. We use them in our house. And when we opened the lid, here were artifacts going back to 1851, when a group of people met at a home and decided they wanted to build a school.
So Helen Jane Peters is with us, historian for Sylvan Lake. Unfortunately, we only have limited time here this morning, but quickly tell us what was in there. And then I want to learn about what's going to be happening on Thursday as it relates to that cornerstone.
Okay. Well, this was our third school. And there.
Yep.
The cornerstone was in the back of the school because there was the reason for the two dates is 1927 is when the school was originally built. Then they decided to add a gym and the cafeteria and two classrooms. So the cornerstone, I'm pretty sure, was in the back of the school in the newest part in 1929. So the artifacts go way back, and that some of the artifacts were written minutes from all the meetings that this group of people had. And that went on for several years. It was like their school board at that time.
Sure. Okay.
So, and then there were also books that contained the list of the students, their grades, their ages, and it contained also the history of all three schools, which is priceless.
So it sounds like the things that were in there, Helen Jane Peters, were more practical than some toy that the kids would have played with in school back in that era.
Right.
Okay.
There was also a newspaper from the year that the day that they closed up the cornerstone, and also a Bible from the Sylvan Lake Sunday School.
So I'm sure that all these items have been preserved, and you've gone through them, or somebody has gone through them. And now the big news for today is that this Thursday, we've got a major event coming up with regard to that cornerstone. Can you tell us what's going to be happening?
Yes, on Thursday we're going to all of the artifacts. First of all, I had everything scanned, and so we will preserve those forever, I hope.
Sure.
And we will put copies of the artifacts in this cornerstone. I want to shout out to Mike Grasser, who built the foundation and put this together to look like this. So we'll lift off that top, we'll put the copper box in filled with copies of the artifacts, and Mike will cement it back together. He
Excellent.
built it.
And so people can come witness this on the 2nd, right? Or the 3rd, which is Wednesday.
Sure.
And tell us, we got to go, but tell us exactly where all this is going to be happening and when, so people can come by and be a part of it.
Oh, I would love to have, especially students from Whitfield. It's going to happen at 1:30 on Thursday afternoon, and everybody is invited. I'd love to see a big crowd there. And so come at 1:30 on Thursday afternoon.
Thursday, okay.
Can I mention one other event that's coming?
Very briefly, Helen Jane Peters, we need 3 hours for you, but I do have to move along, but yes, of course.
On Thursday, November the 10th, we're going to talk about letters that Mr. Houston, this is the Whitfield principal,
yes,
wrote to the World War II veterans. And these are his letters that he wrote to them. And then they wrote back, and we distributed the letters to the veterans in 2012. So most of them have been returned to the original writers of the letters. But
So
that will
you're
be
going to
it.
share all that. That'll be at your next presentation, which happens at
Yes.
7 o'clock, November 10th. People can come by. That'll be happening at the Sylvan Lake Community Center, I presume. Our cameras
Yeah.
will be there. We'll capture it all. But, watching Helen Jane Peters on TV and seeing her in person, it's just not the same. So we invite people to come out. We'll keep reminding them. We'll make some promos, let everybody know what's going on. I got to go. I appreciate your time this morning. It's so good to be with you. And I look forward to seeing you again in person real soon. Thank you very much. Thanks for everything you do to continue to maintain the history of Sylvan Lake. She is our historian for Sylvan Lake, Helen Jane Peters. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a minute. We're going to check in with a National Weather Service meteorologist from our local office up in White Lake and just see what's going on with the weather. We got another week and a half of really beautiful warm weather. That coming up after this very brief break. You are watching and listening to The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Good morning and welcome back to The Splash Live. Dave Scott here right now. Tyler Heath coming up in just a couple of minutes with a Megacast. It's part of our hour and a half of live programming each and every Monday through Friday here on your little old local television and radio stations, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. So I'm looking at the weather forecast, and here we go. Another week and a half of extraordinarily beautiful temperatures and sunshine and great weather. And I'm just wondering, is this unusual? Why are we getting all this great weather? So I called and up to the National Weather Service office in White Lake. Joining us now is meteorologist Trent Frey. Trent, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Splash Live and doing so at the last minute. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. Happy to be here.
So is it just me, or have we been having remarkably nice and warm weather this late fall 2022?
Yes, we have. It's been warm the past week, actually about 2 weeks. We had a stretch of 70s back there for a while, and then we just got through another stretch of 60s the past week or so. So it's certainly been running a bit warmer than normal. But if you actually look at the month of October as a whole, we remembered we had some 40s back there too. So for the month of October as a whole, it actually kind of balances out close to normal. But what has been pretty notable has been how dry it's been. For the month of October, we only got about an inch of rain, which is about an inch and a half less than what we would normally get for this time of year. And, that adds on top of an already pretty dry year. We're actually in the 11th driest year on record so far, which is pretty significant. We have a period of record of 149 years at Detroit. So we're sitting about 9 inches below normal rainfall for the year. So,
well, and one of the benefits, Trent, of that is that I think our color season ended up, and it's not over, but it's been more spectacular than I can remember. It's wind and rain that knocks those leaves off the trees, and it seems like this year the trees have just been maintaining their leaves for a long time, and we've had obviously beautiful clear days to go out and warm to enjoy them.
Yeah, that's right. And, the moderate drought that we've been in actually kind of helps out the colors a bit too, because the trees are a bit more stressed this time of year. So that brings out more of the colors.
So we got like another week and a half, it seems, of pretty mild weather if I'm on target. I'm not a pessimist, but I always see this happening and think, well, oh, what's coming to make up for all this? So Mother Nature is a way of balancing things out. What are your thoughts about what our West Bloomfield winter might look like?
Sure. Yeah. So we're actually going into another La Nina winter. This will be our third one in a row. The past couple years have been pretty close to normal temperature wise, but La Nina tends to tip us more towards a wetter than normal pattern. And whether that means more rainy conditions, more icy conditions, more snowy conditions, we can't really differentiate between that. But in general, wetter than normal, kind of encompassing all of those conditions, is more likely, especially as we get later in the winter.
Yeah, I thought I read something about like a triple La Nina. Am I quoting that correctly?
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, this is our third La Nina in a row, and this is only the third time on record that it's actually happened. So pretty rare.
So listen, when Trent says this, my friends, this isn't Farmer's Almanac, not to indict the Farmer's Almanac, but this is the real stuff. And we know that we're going to have it, anything can change, but it's likely we're going to have a wetter winter. So now we're all wondering, will it be a wetter, warmer winter? That's kind of a hard thing to say, wetter, warmer winter. Or will it be a wetter, snowier winter? And we've not had a good, snowy, blizzard-packed winter around here that I can recall for a long time.
Yeah. It's been, I think in my recent memory, since about 2013, 2014, that winter was pretty good for snow around here. But yeah, it's temperature-wise, it's going to be harder to tell. La Nina doesn't really tip us in one direction, whether it's going to be colder or warmer. Generally, we'll see more variability. So we could see something like what we had a few years ago with the polar vortex breaking down and causing Arctic air outbreaks. But those happen on less than the seasonal scale, and they're much harder to predict this far in advance. So we could see some cooler periods, but in general, we're not tipped in one direction.
And when I was reading the articles about the triple La Nina, one of the things it brought up that it is some chance with all this moisture coming, it's a little bit more likely that we might get one of those ice storms. And we've had some really devastating winter ice storms here. It's one of the things that can, knock out our power and cause a lot of inconvenience for several days. And hopefully we don't have the right temperature conditions that cause a severe winter ice storm. But the more moisture we have, the more likelihood of rain, ice, snow, and all the things that get in the way of our travel and enjoying our lives.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Ice storms are one of the biggest hazards we have here in Southeast Michigan. And, it's been a number of years since we've had a really significant one. So it's definitely important to stay prepared because it could happen any winter, and this winter is no different.
Well, Trent, I'm a pilot and a weather junkie. I could talk to you all day, and unfortunately, we only have another minute or so. I really enjoyed it. It was a couple of years ago coming up to the White Lake office and interviewing a couple of your colleagues. Just how fortunate are we to have that office so close to our communities?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great resource for everybody, and the best part is it's funded on taxpayer dollars. So our agency costs about the cost of a cup of coffee per year for each person. So really invaluable information. You can go to weather.gov/Detroit, and it's staffed right here in White Lake. We are a team of about 24 people that work here, and we're here in the neighborhood working on the forecast 7 days a week, 24/7. And keeping an eye on the radar to keep people safe.
All right, Trent. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us on short notice and being such a good guy. And every time I've been in your, the one time I was in your office, but every time I've called, you guys have been extremely accommodating, and we appreciate it. Thank you for keeping us safe during tornado season, during these big winter storm warnings. And I always like it when they come across to us in the media. They're very, very helpful to share with the audience. Trent, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to help out. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll do it again. Hey, that's all the time we have. Go out and enjoy the beautiful weather. Great for getting your leaves off the yard in the next couple of days if you haven't done so already. I'm Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll be back here tomorrow morning. Tyler Keefe is standing by, and he'll be back in just a moment with the Megacast. Enjoy your nice, beautiful West Bloomfield day. Have a good day.